Welcome to Goblin Slayer. The anime's title speaks for itself. Normally, Globins are considered the weakest monsters, right? Well, not in this anime. You better lock up your daughters, sisters, and mothers, because if a Globin gets hold of them, it's over. These Globins are down bad. A young priestess decides to join a group of rookie adventurers in raiding a cave infested with goblins. However, things quickly take a turn for the worse as the inexperienced party is ambushed by the goblins. As a result, all of them, except for the priestess, are killed, assaulted, or captured. Thankfully, the priestess is rescued by the timely arrival of Goblin Slayer, who skillfully dispatches the attacking goblins. Seeing his expertise in action, the priestess decides to follow him deeper into the cave, eager to learn from his battle tactics and understanding of goblin psychology. With the priestess by his side, Goblin Slayer is able to eliminate the remaining goblins, including a powerful goblin shaman and a menacing hobgoblin. During their exploration, they come across several goblin infants, which Goblin Slayer promptly dispatches to prevent them from becoming a future threat. Despite the traumatic experience, the priestess decides to accompany Goblin Slayer as his adventuring companion, as she is impressed by his skills and expertise. Goblin Slayer decides to accompany his childhood friend Cowgirl on her journey to sell her uncle's farm produce in the city. Later, he heads to the Adventurers Guild to find work, but unfortunately, he is met with hostility from the other adventurers who view him as an outcast. This is mainly because of his low-quality armor and his peculiar habit of only accepting goblin-related quests, despite his status as a high-ranked adventurer. However, amidst all this, Guild Girl, a member of staff at the guild, is pleased with Goblin Slayer's unwavering dedication towards goblin extermination. This is because most adventurers refuse to take goblin quests due to their low bounties, and those who do take them are often inexperienced. In fact, Goblin Slayer's unwavering commitment to his cause has won Guild Girl's admiration and respect. Goblin Slayer then reveals to Cowgirl and Guild Girl that his obsession with goblins stems from a traumatic incident he experienced when he was a young boy. He witnessed the brutal gang rape and subsequent murder of his elder sister by goblins during a raid on his village. Since then, he has dedicated himself to training and learning how to kill goblins. Unfortunately, this has resulted in him becoming socially awkward and consumed by his desire to eliminate all goblins. Cowgirl remains a loyal friend to Goblin Slayer, despite her uncle's warnings about his abnormal behavior. She even apologizes to him for not bringing him with her to the city on the day before the goblins attacked their village. Meanwhile, Goblin Slayer and Priestess launch a daring attack on a fortress occupied by goblins, burning it down and preventing the goblins from escaping. In another part of the world, a high elf and her companions are searching for a renowned adventurer named Orkbolg. Before we continue, take a moment to answer the question of the day. What is the most shocking anime moment you've ever watched? Comment down below for a chance to be shouted out. Now back to the recap. High Elf Archer, Dwarf Shaman, and Lizard Priest approach Guild Girl and inquire about an adventurer named Orkbolg and Beard Cutter, using their respective races' languages to refer to Goblin Slayer. As the trio converses with Goblin Slayer, Witch, a friend of his, comes to Priestess's defense when some novice adventurers try to lure her away, accusing Goblin Slayer of exploiting her as bait. Meanwhile, High Elf Archer elucidates that their races have formed an alliance with the human kingdoms to combat the Demon Lord's army that has been reawakened, and they seek Goblin Slayer's assistance for a related quest. At first, Goblin Slayer declines their request, much to High Elf Archer's chagrin, citing that he is not concerned with the Demon Lord's minions. However, Dwarf Shaman and Lizard Priest mention the ruins in the elven lands that goblins have taken over, impeding the elves' ability to mobilize their troops due to political tensions. Priestess opts to join their mission, chiding Goblin Slayer for not inviting her in the first place. As the group sets up camp and indulges in their respective races' delicacies, High Elf Archer, fueled by alcohol, lambasts Goblin Slayer for his discourteous demeanor. The others engage in a discussion about the origin of goblins. The following day, High Elf Archer dispatches the goblin sentries at the ruins, enabling the group to proceed. As Goblin Slayer's group ventures into the ruins, they immediately notice the absence of totems, leading them to believe that a shaman is not leading these goblins. Once inside, they come across an elven prisoner who had been mercilessly tortured by the goblins, igniting a fiery rage within High Elf Archer as she vows to avenge her kin. After making their way through the ruins, they stumble upon a hall where the goblins are resting, and using their cunning skills, Goblin Slayer's group employs sleeping and silence spells to take out the unsuspecting goblins without arousing the suspicion of the others. However, Their silent attack eventually alerts the Goblin's leader, an ogre, and as one of the Demon Lord's generals, he's no pushover. The ogre launches a fierce attack, using both his incredible strength and fire magic to keep the group at bay. Despite their best efforts, the group finds it hard to take down the ogre, mainly due to his size and the speed at which he heals. With their backs against the wall and their allies on the brink of collapse, Goblin Slayer pulls out his trump card, a magic teleportation scroll given to him by Witch. With a quick incantation, powerful jets of water shoot out from the depths of the ocean, causing massive damage to the ogre before Goblin Slayer delivers the finishing blow. As they make their way back to the city, elvish reinforcements arrive to take over the ruins, and High Elf Archer can't help but feel a sense of admiration for Goblin Slayer's unwavering determination and obsession with defeating goblins. In fact, her experience with him only fuels her desire to embark on even more epic adventures with him by her side. After recovering from his wounds, Goblin Slayer generously assists Cowgirl in carting supplies to town. Upon arriving, he serendipitously encounters an assortment of fellow adventurers, including High Elf Archer, Dwarf Shaman, and Lizard Priest. Intrigued by the prospect of exploring some ruins, he expresses his openness to the idea to his new acquaintances. Priestess, who has recently been promoted to the next adventurer rank, takes the opportunity to formally thank Goblin Slayer for saving her life. Not long after, Goblin Slayer runs into two young adventurers who have lost their sword in the sewers. With his expert advice, he recommends they use a club as an improvised weapon to retrieve their lost item. As if his day wasn't already eventful enough, Guild Girl then asks him to observe a promotion exam where she reprimands a Rhea Scout for stealing loot from his party. Despite the Rhea Scout's initial urge to attack Guild Girl, Goblin Slayer's presence serves as a formidable deterrent. Meanwhile, the two young adventurers are able to recover their sword thanks to Goblin Slayer's sage advice. Feeling accomplished, Goblin Slayer receives a special goblin slaying request from none other than Sword Maiden herself. 10 years ago, a group of heroes, including Sword Maiden, valiantly defeated the original Demon Lord. Presently, in a different part of the world, a new hero and her companions wage war against the resurrected Demon Lord and his army, decimating them, though a few generals remain on the loose. Meanwhile, Goblin Slayer and his party embark on a journey to Watertown, where they serendipitously encounter Sword Maiden, who has since retired. Sword Maiden shares alarming news of recent violent murders that have taken place in the town, and the party suspects the goblins in the sewer system are the culprits. Despite the army's reluctance to take action against the goblins and the failure of other adventurers' attempts, Sword Maiden has reached out to Goblin Slayer for help. Without hesitation, Goblin Slayer agrees to undertake the quest, and he leads the party into the sewers. There, they make a startling discovery. The goblins have acquired the skill to navigate the waters using boats, which puzzles Goblin Slayer since goblins have never been known for their intelligence before. As they engage in combat and sink a goblin boat, the party attracts the attention of a colossal alligator. Ingeniously, they use this to their advantage by tricking the alligator into destroying the remainder of the goblin fleet. As they emerge from the sewers, Goblin Slayer is disturbed by the fact that the goblins knew how to use boats but had no awareness of the alligator. This leads him to conclude that someone must have placed the goblins in the sewers, setting them up for a vicious attack on the unsuspecting townspeople. And that's the end of part 1. Stay tuned for part 2. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more anime recaps.